Now, I don't think anybody would argue with me if I was to say that I was a graphics snob. In fact, just the background of this entire video so far should probably prove that point. That's why today we're going to look at a product that I probably a year ago would have never bothered with. But I think this is something that's going to blow your mind, because it certainly made mine feel a little bit swizzled. If that's even the right. It feels like somebody took a stick in my brain and stirred it up, because I didn't even think technology like this was even possible. Now, I've already taken a look at the R7 250 in the past. It's nothing new to my channel. In fact, I think it's a great graphics card when it comes in well under $100. And if you're an extreme budget builder, or you want to get a gaming experience or just get into gaming PC for the first time and you don't have a lot of money to spend, you can get some pretty impressive gameplay graphics and graphics settings out of the R7 250. So why are we taking a look at an R7 250 again today? Well, that's because we are taking a look at Sapphire's ultimate passive silent cooling. That's right. They have built a graphics card out of the R7 250 that has absolutely no fans on it. This thing is 100% silent. Now, I looked at that and I said, how is that even possible? With how demanding current titles are and the fact that so many graphics cards are battling heat, how on earth could they put together a graphics card that still gives us maintainable frame rates without actually cooking itself to death? Now, if you guys haven't heard of Sapphire, they are to AMD as EVGA is to NVIDIA. They only deal with AMD boards, they're only an AMD partner, and they pretty much specialize in anything when it comes to Radeon graphics cards. Now, it's got the standard stuff. We're not going to go over too much specs. It's got 1 GB of GDDR5, it's got 0-core power, APP acceleration, GCN architecture, HDMI outputs, all the usual stuff you'd come to expect. Of course, it can run on the Mantle API. Now, the testing I did today was utilizing Mantle on the tests I did where it could be used. But I really started wondering, where exactly does this graphics card fit in and who should be buying this? So I've actually got a couple of recommendations of where this card fits in. But I've got to say, the performance legitimately shocked me. Now, inside the box comes the usual stuff, drivers, connectors, and they even give you an HDMI high-speed cable. It's 1.8 meters long. That's kind of neat. And that kind of starts to give you an indication of where this card really belongs. Now, here it is right here. I actually think that this is a very attractive cooler. I mean, it's got tons and tons of fins. It's got 4 heat pipes on it. They look like 6mm heat pipes. I could be wrong, but I believe they're 6mm. We've got a display port, HDMI port, and a single DVI-D port. Now, you can see here that the heatsink actually wraps around the top and to the back of the card slightly, allowing the heat to actually dissipate up, because if you've got the heatsink only sitting on the bottom and it's in a standard case, oriented like this instead of maybe like that, then you're going to find that heat could get trapped. But those heat pipes are actually driving the heat to these sinks here, which is also dissipating it into the case, allowing your case cooling to take care of the heat. Now, when it comes to the actual core spec on this, it is an 800 megahertz core. Now, I'm actually surprised at that, because I thought to myself, well, they've probably gone ahead and conservatively placed the core on this to a manageable speed where it's not going to cook itself to death. I'm going to circle back to temperatures at the end of this video, because I think that that's what most of us are going to be most interested in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of set this on the side over here, and I'm going to refer to my notes here when it comes to frames per second. Now, you guys have kind of complained that I haven't done enough modern A title or AAA titles when it comes to my testing. I'm working on it, guys. I'm actually going to be in the process of completely rebuilding my test rig. I need more storage space. All right, guys, so idle temps, I'll go ahead and tell you that. Idle at right around 36 degrees Celsius. Now, 36 degrees Celsius is actually something that is pretty good. But again, temperatures are going to depend entirely upon your case flow. So if you're going to have terrible case flow, you could potentially have some cooling problems with this card. I just want to put that out there. I am using the Arc XL with all fan spots actually utilized in the case, but at slow speeds. So just wanted to put that out there. All right, so for Valley Benchmark, we got a 490. That's not like crazy, right? 490 isn't anything like to go bragging about. But here is where I started to change my methodology on the testing. I did a 490, but it maxed out at 50 degrees Celsius with no fan. No fan on this thing at all, and it maxed out at 50 degrees Celsius. Now, here's the thing that's cool about that. That's exactly where the MSI version of the R7 250 set on temperatures with a fan. So I went, okay, I had no intentions of overclocking this graphics card. I didn't consider it overclockable because I thought, well, it's got no fans, so if I overclock it, it's just gonna cook itself to death. So you know what I did? I went ahead and just maxed out the sliders on MSI Afterburner to see what would happen. Now, max overclock allowable without enabling the unofficial overclocking limits where it extends the limits, and I didn't want to do that for this test. I wanted to be fair to the card, was a max of 900 megahertz. So that's where we set it. We set it at 900 megahertz and we left the memory pretty much where it was. Now when I overclocked it, the Valley benchmark score jumped from 490 up to 549. It's actually a pretty decent jump considering percentage-wise. Now BF4 on ultra settings, now let's face it, this is not an ultra ready card. I just want to see how it would do. Gave me a pretty locked frame rate at 24 FPS. Now, I went ahead and put this card where it belongs. In fact, I let Battlefield detect the card and put what the recommended settings were. It recommended medium, which is kind of cool. I expected it to recommend low. It recommended medium, and I got a locked frame rate at 60 frames per second. Now, VSync wasn't on, and again, this is with Mantle 14.7, but with VSync turned off, it actually capped out and just stuck at 60 frames per second, sometimes going up to 65, never going lower than 55. And at medium graphics on Battlefield 4, it actually looked fantastic. And I thought, of course, Battlefield 4 must be cooking the card. And temperatures were actually sitting at, well, you're gonna have to wait till the end of the video. Tomb Raider. Ultimate settings give me a 17.2 FPS on the benchmark. Obviously, once again, this is not an ultimate graphics card. So I didn't want to put, technically it is, I guess. It says Ultimate on the box. But we'll get back to that. Ultimate settings on Tomb Raider, they were kicking the cards, but set it down to normal, 55.3 frames per second average on the benchmark. Fantastic. All right, so Dirt 3 on Ultra. And why am I doing Dirt 3? Well, I still think it's a very pretty game. I still think it's relevant on entry-level graphics cards like this because it's a cheap game, lots of people play it, and it does have some decent eye candy. Dirt 3 Ultra, 42 frames per second, pretty good. That kind of shows that the game has aged a little bit, doesn't have a lot of resource requirements. And on the medium settings, 89 frames per second. So here's what this is telling me. This is telling me if you have a very strict budget and you need to spend less than $100 on a graphics card and you actually want something that is 100% silent, this is something you should definitely be looking at. Now with all of these tests, while overclocked, temperatures never exceeded 54 degrees Celsius with no frickin' fan anywhere on the PCB. That was a little unexpected. I've got to admit, guys, I did not expect that type of performance. Now, where does this fit in? I've already mentioned the ultra budget-minded gamer who's looking for silent. But where else would silent come in handy? Remember that 1.8 meter HDMI cable they gave you? I think this is by far the perfect solution if you're building a home theater PC and you want to be able to upscale to 4K. This thing can do 4K resolution, has a DisplayPort that can handle it, but I think that this is the perfect graphics card for a multimedia PC. And in fact, I've been wanting to build one for quite a while now. And I've got the hardware to do it, and I've got the parts for it. So what I'm gonna do actually in the future is I'm gonna build a multimedia home theater PC, and this is what's gonna be driving the graphics on it. I think those are the two places this fits. Ultra cheap PC gaming, people who wanna break into PC don't have a lot to spend, and they want silence, and home theater PCs. You have to take a look at this graphics card if that is what you're looking for. The price point on it is fantastic, and it can play games to boot. Guys, that has been the Sapphire Ultimate R7 250 graphics card. Had no idea what to expect going into this video. I'm sure glad I took a look at it because it truly surprised me. Very little things surprise me anymore when it comes to, I have a pretty good idea of it going into a review of an expectation and usually being pretty much on point. Today I was way off. I thought this thing was gonna probably get up to 70, maybe even 80 degrees Celsius. But that just goes to show exactly how efficient the R7 series is, especially this guy with this cooler and this many heat pipes. The future of gaming is definitely looking like a nice, cool, efficient one when it comes to graphics cards. JayzTwoCents, guys. Follow on Twitter if you have any questions. Thanks for watching the videos. Hit that like button if you liked today's video, and if you didn't, you can also hit that dislike button. It lets me know what it is you guys do and don't like on the channel. I'm gonna get the heck on out of here. And as you've noticed, I've got a little bit different here monitor setup behind me. we're going to be taking a look at the Ergotech widescreen gaming form edition of their 3+1 monitor stand. And as you can see, I am utilizing all those bad boys. Look at that in the future, guys. As always, I will see you in the next one.